Hi all, welcome to my channel. Today we are in on day 5 and session 1.7. In previous sessions, previous videos, we have seen how to create a data frame using multiple ways and what are the basic data types we have. In today's session, we have going to see how to specify a schema for a Spark data frame using a string. There are multiple ways to specify a schema for a Spark data frame. Let's say you have only a data file and how you going to specify a schema for that one. The one of the ways like using a string. Let's say I have a data file is nothing but an users, which is nothing but a list of tuples. Inside each tuple I have multiple user values like user id, name, and then the multiple date fields inside that. So I try to cover the multiple data types in a single tuple. So let's say I have multiple tuples like this. The list of tuples, each tuple has a same column under data types, only the values are different, which means right the first tuple value is an id, then in each tuple the first value is id, the last value is an timestamp, then last value is a timestamp. So I'm following an order here across all the tuples. Only the value inside the tuple is going to change. These values are not having a schema. Only the way to do is that using a string. So let's say we have a data file. Now we going to specify a schema using a string for that. Let's say the user schema, which is nothing but a string here, and inside that we have an multiple. What are the values, data values we have seen? Those columns and data types we are defining here. Let's say the id is nothing but an int, and first name is string, last name is string, email is string, his customer is boolean, which means true or false. The amount paid is a float, and the customer from is on date, and last updated timestamp is on timestamp. Let's say we have an data and we created a string of schema. Now we'll see how to create a data frame out of data. The Spark that created data frame, then the first argument is data, which is nothing but an user. Come on, the second argument by default is an schema. You can specify schema is equal to then the schema variable. Also you can directly give the string value here. The users underscore schema is nothing but a string value here. So the Spark data frame gets created on top of it by the specific column names and the data types with the whatever the data values we have provided. We can't specify the date field as in timestamp, as it's not having the minutes, seconds, hours. So here what I'm trying to say is like the customer from, which is nothing but a date. Let's say I want to cast this as a customer underscore from as a timestamp, which won't be supported because which is not compatible, because the date is having only the it's not having the hours, minutes, and seconds. But in the vice versa, we can convert the last updated timestamp as a date. We can provide the data type as a dates, so that how it will come like 2021 0 to 10, 1 15 00 will be converted to 2021 2, and then a 10. So here which is compatible. And then acceptable schema values. What are the schema? So we have seen for a schema to providing a string, there are multiple ways to provide this, like we can provide a string or a list as a schema. Also the PySpark dot sql dot types dot data type, we can provide that as well. So we will see the list and PySpark dot sql dot types dot data type in an upcoming in upcoming sessions. So in the next session is nothing but an session 1.8, just specifying a schema for a Spark data frame using a list. So in previous session we have seen how to specify using a schema. Now we're going using a string. Now we're going to see using a list. We have a same data used in a previous example, and the schema is a list of column names. The type of each column will be inferred from the data. So in a previous session, in a schema we are giving a column column name comma data type. But if you are providing a list, you should specify only the column name. The data types will be derived automatically from the data. So here the user schema is nothing but I'm providing a list here instead of a string, and I'm specifying only the column names here, not the data types. Then I'm trying to create and spark.create data frame users, then a schema which is equal to user schema. So here the data frame is created by inferring the data types from the files, from the data files. The next step is like specifying a schema using an spark type. So we are using an data same as in previous example. Here the user data is same. And then from PySpark.sql we are importing an types. So type has an each data type classes, like type is having a string type, integer type, float type, boolean type, like that it will be there. So instead of mentioning a type dot string type or an integer type each time for an each database, we can import all the types in a single go. So how to do that is like from pyspark.sql.types import star, so it which will import all the types. For specifying a type, right, like let's say the field which is equal to, first we have to mention an struct type, and inside the struct type we should mention an struct field for an each column we have. Let's say for a struct field of id column it should be id comma integer type, then struct field of first name is nothing but a string type, then email is also string type, then we'll go to an is customer is nothing but a boolean type. Then an amount paid is a float type, then customer from is a date type, and last update timestamp is nothing but a timestamp type. So here we have to mention the struct type first, and inside that we have to mention the struct field. Inside the each struct field we have to mention the field names with a data type. And then if we do on spark.create data frame, then the user schema which is nothing but on a fields, then the data frame gets created. And then also there is a one other way to create a spark data frame using a pandas data frame. So in session 1.9 we're going to see create and spark data frame using a pandas data frame. One advantages of using a pandas data frame is like if the value is not provided in the data file, then it will automatically takes that as a null value for the missing fields. In case of an, if we create an, let's say the customer from is null, which means right, if it's not provided in the data file, if we directly try to create a spark data frame, which will throw error that we are expecting an, let's say we have 8 fields, means we are expecting an 8 fields but only 7 fields is available. But in case of an pandas, if there is any missing fields is there, that will automatically substitute an nan value for that, which is nothing but a null in a database. Let's say import pandas as pd, and then pd.data frame of users directly. If you provide the users, which means the data value to that one, then nan will be substituted for the missing values in the data. Now let's say how to create an pandas spark data frame from the pandas data frame, like spark.create data frame, and then inside that we have to pass the pd data frame of users, which is nothing but an pandas data frame. If we use inside that, automatically the spark data frame gets created. I hope this section will be helpful to you. Thanks for watching. Bye.